Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I couldn't find my mobile phone clamp. It wasn't very organised today. Hang on, that's what I meant to do. Oops, meant to turn the volume off on my computer. I'm going to say hi everyone because that's a bit of a list, people to go through. Hey, g'day, and Joseph, Poppy, Craig, Mike, Kevin, Machine NZ. Greg, John Creasy, Lawrence London, g'day. Yep, big shout out to Bruns, his awesome videos. Stefan, g'day. I can't see most of the chat, so there we go. I looked at it a bit over on the other computer. Rustnox, g'day. Raymond, Darren. There we all go. Sorry I'm a bit late. Go Create's here too. What's been happening, everyone? Not a lot. People dropping like flies. Not here as such, but it doesn't rule out that they may be in other places. I'm going to believe that. Subscriber count's climbing. Yes, it's gone up. That's probably a big thanks to Rustanox. I'm going to say thank you, Rustanox, for the shout out. Hey, Malcolm Till. Not enough to need the tumbler. At least you've got a rubber bowl, and I'm wondering if I can source a rubber bowl for mine because mine is almost impossible to deal with. What have I done this weekend? I was all over the show. Poor Stefan's taste in music. Anyway, we would wonder about that. But it's all right. We forgive him. He does listen to some good stuff. What's first? Finally made something. That's awesome. It probably is your fault, Rustnax, but that's awesome. Book of the week. Hey, John. Book of the week. Slide rule. Neville Shute. Reading Neville Shute again. This is his autobiography as an engineer. Projects we work on. Pretty crazy book. Really enjoyed it, actually. Some insights into Spanish flu in the after First World War and early days of aviation. That one's worth a look. No crazy religious theories in this one. So if you want crazy religion and spiritualistic romance, this isn't the book, but it's pretty good. It's not a bad book. Enjoyed it. There you go. Oh, awesome, John. Nice job on the valve, John. Well, Kevin's been messing around. Machining His Head's been messing around with his shaper and his bandsaw. There's a good video there. Go Create's working on frames for a locomotive. That's a pretty cool video. Who else is out there? Craig's got his DRO working, I think, which is pretty amazing. Working on some jaws. Thanks for the email, Craig. G'day, Man Cave Metal. I missed you. I'm just scrolling through here. I think some of you disappeared already. I know John Pettit went to bed. He's sort of an early riser. Yeah, there are those that would debate that. Look at some Stefan videos, Kevin, on shapers running the opposite direction. That might be worth a look too. I'm not sure there is an opera the wrong direction, but you'll work it out. Abandon a recent video. We're going to have an outtakes video. What's on the video? Hey, tin of yellow paint. Oh, we don't like dry and boring, Tom. Hey, Mark. What did I do this weekend? This piece. Look at this. Check this out. Try and focus that a bit. I actually have another phone here to put a SIM card in tomorrow while I remember. I'm going to put that away aside. This phone's about had it, I think. Time for a new one. This is the exhaust cam for this engine. It's got a cross hole, which is reamed for a cross pin at some point, and it's got a grub screw hole for adjustment while we set it up. I'm fairly pleased with this. It's 4140, and it's run for probably 10 turns, and it's got a groove around here already. I don't know if you can see that. This is a pretty poor camera, really. There, it's got a groove around it already. So I'm going to clean this up again, and I'm probably going to harden it and fit it up before this video comes out. So this video will be on Patreon, I'd like to say Saturday night, something like that. I've still got to harden this and clean it up and etc, and edit the video. So it's not a very big part, but it was a part that I was putting off. I went and bought some grub screws, 3mm grub screws. Discovered I haven't got an Allen key to fit them, so we'll put this back together with the one that I had, probably, which looks really ugly. I must have a 1.2 or 1.4 or whatever it is Allen key somewhere. I've just got no idea where. This is a fairly interesting process, actually, to machine this. Kind of cool, actually, and do it on fairly basic equipment. but it came out all right. There's a video about it, Craig. It'll be on Patreon sort of by the end of the week, and that means another video on this series. It'll be on YouTube. I think it's part number 4, part number 5, something like that. It's sort of completely out of hand. We're still waiting on parts for this, and postage is a bit of a problem at the moment anywhere. I'm waiting on steel for my thread cutting attachment and all the bits, and that's got to come from parts in Australia, and it's slow, and I'm not going to see it till after Easter apparently. But this is pretty nice actually. It could be cut out of steel. It's a bit of a job, and getting valves to seat and stuff would be much nicer in good cast iron. And that's not the principle of it anyway. Craig, video's not up yet this week. Hey, Mike. Metalworks Machine Shop, good day. Now, cam follower, everyone asks what the cam follower is like. This is a piece of 4mm silver steel, which is going to be hardened and tempered on the end as well. But that's it. It's basically, it's a round end. That's what the cam follower is. It's a ball end on here, and that runs directly on the cam. So it's pretty basic. You could put a fancy cam follower. There's not much room in there. Everything's sort of, space is a premium. I'm going to try, and if this camera stays upright and stuff, I'm going to try and zoom in there, everyone. There. Coming to potato cam near you. This is really bad, I'm sorry. There. There's not much space here anywhere. In fact, this cam touched in here. What have we got here? Is a little reamer. This cam touched in this corner here by about... Can anyone actually see that? There, that might be pushed down luck, but it's probably better. Sorry. Push rod, Kevin, is 01 silver steel. Hi, Duncan. So this was nearly touching. We've got a shaving on the end of that. Something's magnetic. Same as everywhere. It's the 5G, I tell you. That's nearly touching there. We've got clearance though, just. So if you have a look and slip that over, see there's not a lot of clearance there. This is all pretty close, and I'm a little bit impressed about the pattern making on this, that we actually made this work. And in particular the foundry work that pulled this out without too much distortion, so that we've actually got clearance on all this. So the electrical cam goes on this end, and whether I need to chop this off when we're done, I'm not sure. Maybe we will. And the contact breaker sits on here with a wiper onto this cam, which has got a electrically conductive fin on it, I guess, which is housed in like a bakelite or phenolic. That's a complicated little bit, and that's next, I think. And then it's got 2 thumb screws out this side to connect the wires to, and that's the spark system. while we're up close, this is the timing gears in this side. We've got an oil hole here, which is this one is for the main, and this one here is for your gears. This flywheel's actually not on properly. A bit of shake there, but this will have a cross pin and a washer on here to retain the conrod. And it's got a drip oiler there, which was the last Patreon video, and then it's a rifle file if no one's ever seen one. There you go. And then the cylinder head bolts on this side here. So a bit of work in this yet, but we're getting there. This end of the engine's starting to look. We'll zoom out again. This end of the engine here is starting to look pretty good. This is going to drive me crazy if I don't fix it. Probably going to set this up with a piece of writing paper in between, so it's got a bit of clearance, but fairly happy with that, really. So that's engine progress. We'll turn this off now so you can actually see us again. Hey, Ted. Stefan, remember when we see a coat hanger? We're not talking about coat hangers. Mike, that's good stuff. The colour's going to be... I've picked out a colour and I really like it. And actually, I've even got as far, I think, as to buy the paint. So I know what colour it's going to be. A bit excited about that. But there's still a long way to go yet. And there's a fair bit of clean-up work. There's... it's starting to look a bit grubby and so forth. But we are making progress slowly. Next video is going to be out this week on Patreon about the oh crap, junk here everywhere, about the cam and the process to make that, which is kind of cool. And the one after that's probably going to be the electrical system. In between there, I'm going to put a sort of a quick tool build on Patreon as well. I've got a project for that, so I'm pretty excited about that. I've got all the stuff to do it. Something I've needed for a little while. I'm going to bang that in there too, because we're waiting for a cylinder head and a piston. I don't know when. So I haven't seen Avon's latest video. I'm a bit slack. Stefan knows which project. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not rocket scientist, but that should be really cool. I'm excited about that. There is one proper colour for this engine. It's not going to be that. Anyway, that's a job I've been working on. Pretty excited about the progress on that, and the cam looks really good. It's I'm trying to be careful here because I will bend this push rod. This is the second one I bought because the other one did get a bend in it. I need to slice this off at a dead reckoning sort of a thing so it doesn't catch on everything. We've got inner and outer here for the water jacket. I don't know whether I'm going to put a tank on it. What I'd really like is a radiator, and I put a groove in here to run a belt for a fan. I don't know whether I'm going to make a little radiator to go on the side or whether I'm not going to bother. That might be a project. As Big Clive has got a video tonight on debunking the 5G danger myth thing. I don't think it's particularly successful, but it sounds good. People believe what they want to believe. I think Stefan's going to build a Geiger counter. Word on the street is that he was going to build a Geiger counter, so that's the next best thing. We're going to go looking for 5G. Don't know if he's going to make videos about that. Oh, that's heavy. Radiator things we do for hobbies. The radiator is probably the neatest and nicest sort of system to do it. What I'd really like is a mesh screen cooler with a pump, but that's a bit more complicated and I'm not sure that's going to happen. So we're still sort of sketching stuff up. Speaking of long road, I've had some parcels go back to return to sender. Stefan had a parcel from Germany to send to me because I bought something out of eBay Germany, and most eBay Germany shippers don't ship overseas and they don't take PayPal, etc., 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 etc. with the Germans. And I did pick something up which was a launch part, and I really was looking forward to it. And Stefan was going to has sent it on, but it got sent back because Germany is no longer shipping overseas. So be aware of that if you're buying German stuff. I don't think, just talking to the post office lady tonight, that it's the only country too. So that's a problem. The birds aren't real, Mats. The birds, there's your pet little conspiracy theory for the week. The birds are actually robots. JFK killed all the birds way back when, and the ones that are left, the ones you see at the moment, are surveillance bots. So that's an actual conspiracy that's out there. Very interesting and a little bit strange. Next job. This is another thing I achieved this week. How do they replace the bird batteries? That's very interesting. Anyway, if anyone knows how they replace the bird batteries, you let me know. This is a bit of a milestone, right? That's a good point, Peter. See, the more you think about this, the more serious it means. The more serious it sort of sounds, and I think you can talk yourself into it very easily. Oh, there's websites about it, Matt. Everyone's down on the bird thing. Take care, Rust Knox. We're in lockdown to replace the bird batteries. I hadn't thought of that, but it makes perfect sense. Now, I don't know if I can focus this camera because I'm really not impressed about it at the moment. That might be focused. This is an achievement. This is the first M6 thread off the Launch lathe, or the first decent one. Let's put it that way. This isn't a bad thread, really. This is going to drive me crazy trying to focus this. We might as well forget about it. We'll put it down here, it might focus. Or it might not. But this isn't such a bad... such a bad thread. M6 by 1.0, which is all I had a nut for. 7.5 is achievable without too many problems. I'd have to make a nut as well. I'm going to have to make some tools. I don't actually have a center gauge or a thread angle gauge or a fishtail gauge, whatever you want to call it. I thought I did. I had a good look in the toolbox. I have thread pitch gauges. No worries at all. Quite a selection. Don't have thread wires, etc, etc, etc. This was just cut to the double depth of the screw thread, which is a theoretical measurement from the outside, and it turned out pretty good. I probably could have gone one cut less. It's a fraction loose, but that's where we're at with that, and that's sort of not too shabby. We need to get steel for the auto reverse clutch in the middle. That's the next job, because reversing out of threads and backing the tool out at the same time is like scratching your head and patting your tummy. It takes practice. Apart from that, we've got all the selectors and stuff on. Maybe we should go over there and have a bit of a look. Hey JB. Peter, I probably did. Let's have a bit of more of a look in it. It must be here somewhere, and it'll be in the bottom of my box somewhere. I thought I did, and thanks heaps for the heads up on that, Peter. I'm going to search it out, see what I can find. You might be right. Rustanox isn't back, but if you go and check out his video, Coat Hanger 2020 is something that's trending here at the moment. It's something else I spent some time on, but video that's coming. Just so you know. You can draw your own conclusions on that, work out what you think. But yeah, Coat Hanger 2020. This place is a pigsty because I've been pretty busy all weekend, and I did have a bit of a clean up. And we're nearly always going to trip over something or something get down here because I've got tools everywhere. Not sure this light's really the answer. It's probably not. Let's try that. So we've had some progress on this too since last week, I think. Come down here and have a look. This is another project for this spindle. Can't believe how dark it is in here today. I don't know what the story is. Maybe this is the answer. Hang on. Ah, got it. That might be better. You saw it. I pointed it out. We mentioned the coat hanger. You've seen it. That's all you're going to see until the video's up. I'm waiting on paint and stuff for it. It's a work in progress. The mechanical part's sort of worked out and sorted. The artistic part takes a little bit more work, but it's going to be pretty cool, I think. Anyway, progress here. New detents fitted. Which is pretty exciting. Put this up here. This is a German Gertner, is it? Spring-loaded detent. It's nice fibre reinforced plastic quality thing, which just threads in that hole. So that works. And we've got a neutral position and reverse. I've taken one gear out of here. I'm not sure how long these plastic gears are going to keep up for that, to be honest. We'll see, that, especially the smaller ones. So, hey John, hey Troy. So we still need to work out something here, and we need to work out a guard. There's still a bit of a list of things. There's another project in here which didn't work out well last time I did it, and I'm going to do it again. There's a key under this pulley that it goes into the middle of the spindle, which works in the collet. It goes in this groove here in the collet. There we go. Which stops that turning when you do up the drawbar. It's stripped out in the middle because I didn't harden it and I really wasn't happy with it. I've since put the same system in the dividing head and that seems to be working really well. So we've got an update for here. So when this is done, I'm going to pull this apart and I'm going to sort out this spindle. We put a new thrust bearing in here back in maybe 12 months ago, which is an oil impregnated plastic that we made because we couldn't find one the right size, and a set of balls that I put in it from the ball bearing factory. And this is beautiful now. It's run in. It was a bit noisy for a start, but it's really nice now. That was a success. So that's another project. We do have one of the only really good uses for a 3D printer I've ever found is that it prints spindle protectors beautifully. So there's a spindle protector on here for using collets, and it's all looking pretty good. This system all works. I'm not so sure about this. If anyone's particularly interested, I'm a bit passionate about this project. Thanks, Craig. So if I'm still going on about this project in another 2 months, you'll probably be sick of it. But there's always stuff to do on this machine. This needs a auto trip, as Stefan called it, which is probably the exact right word for it, is auto trip. I've been looking for a word that could describe it, but it needs auto trip, which pops this out. Oh crap, this mirror, sorry about the camera shake. Pops this out so that this freewheels, theoretically. It's sort of the weight of it's enough to spin all this. So I'm pretty impressed about all these bearings and things in here and the gear mesh, etc. But what I'm sort of thinking for this, and I had a bit of a look at it, is a rod clamped to the side here like this. Something like this, probably with a lever out here across here to kick this. Stephen Lang said it'd be nice if this was offset a bit more, and absolutely it would be nice. And the genuine launch one had a gearbox here with an idler gear, and then this system here was in here that worked from a pin on this side, and that's really nice. And if Mark II might be like that, but what I'm sort of thinking is just like a block to slide this in here with a grub screw, and then a kick, a lever on here to kick this out, so that when this comes up like this, it kicks it, and at the end of the power feed stroke you can stop, because this is beautiful for power feeding. It's just you can't actually stop it without stopping the lathe, and it takes a couple of 3 turns to slow down, which is way off the end of our cut. So the theory is that that's what we're going to do. And I've also got a micrometer head here. I'm not so sure about this. But I've got a micrometer stop, which would be really nice. Little metric micrometer, 1/2 inch micrometer stop. I'm not sure whether it was 10 mil, I think it is a metric one. Actually goes to about 13. But anyway, if we could put this on here so that we could adjust this backwards and forwards. I'm still thinking about this. I've got no idea whether we adjust this rod backwards and forwards and leave this piece stationary. either point, there's a bit of weight on the end of this, and it's going to need some sort of a system to stop it turning. So whether this has a flat or a key in it, or seriously got no idea. What might be nice is to thread this and put a flat on it and have it slide in here with a nut, a captive nut, to move it backwards and forwards in here. So still all work in progress. This crazy project, but that's what we're at. None of this is original anyway, Peter. This plate's been put in here, and I've modified this fairly substantially anyway, so I haven't got a problem with drilling a couple of holes once I work out what I want. Whether it sits here on the corner, which I don't like much, because I'd like to be able to put longer tools or boring bars and things in here as well if we've got to at some point. So probably down here on the flat. The Chauvelin one works the other way around. This part of the dovetail's actually in... Oh, that's not right. But the auto trip bolts on this part here, and then this screw works in here, so moving this moves this, and it's complicated. Anyway, Mark, this is where we're at, and it's a bit of, this is why I don't have a Rose engine lathe or an ornamental turning lathe, is because people who own those, all they do for the rest of their lives is make parts for it, and I was trying to avoid that. I would like this project to be finished at some point so I can go on to something else, but it feels like all I would have to do for the rest of my life is make parts for this lathe, which is a bit complicated. Mike, that's probably something to think about. There's a ball race, or I don't know what you would run in there. If anyone's got any thoughts about that, I was just going to put a yoke on here that slides backwards and forwards, maybe, to operate on that, because it's only touching for probably not very much. And it's not like this thing's running particularly fast. Under power feed, it's only going this speed. So I think a ball race is probably overkill, but I'm not sure. The slowest speed I've got with my change gears at the moment, and that brings us to another thing. We're going to need some more change gears. But the slowest speed I've got is 0.14 of a millimetre per revolution, which is pretty nice for finished cut and in decent steel. So it's not moving particularly quick. So a yoke on here to kick this out, and even a square rod in square holes or something like that here with a adjustable nut on. I'm not sure. If we could use a micrometer head or something like that, that's kicking down there, but there are other jobs we could use this for too. We could put it on all our tool holders and put a micrometer head on there, but probably that's not going to happen either. No, nothing to see here, Russ Knox, nothing to see. First threads are these ones. This might even focus over here, does it? At the moment we have seriously bad lighting and seriously bad camera. That's something that I need to do if I'm at home for any period of time, is fix both these things. But that's the first thread off the launch. And this, as it was set up to cut 1 millimetre pitch. I can get most of the Imperial ones, not all of them, and probably it's plenty enough for now. waste of a micrometer. It's been kicking around here for 15 years now, so if I don't use it for something, I'll be disappointed. So we need to put another pulley in here, because I've actually, if you have a look, I've kicked one of these belts off because I got sick of putting the thing into reverse rather than stopping it on the overhead shaft system, which is how I've stopped it for 10 years. So every now and again I'd bang it into reverse instead of stopping it and then curse. So I've kicked one belt off and it's just loose here. Until such time we get, if we have a look up here, until such time we get another middle roller. And that steel's on its way, but it's probably going to be after Easter. I think it was supposed to be express post, but it hasn't happened. And express post is a thing of the past here for now. I need a 127 and a 120 tooth gear. I think are the only ones I really need, and then I can make the rest. And I probably make the 120 without any problems, but the 127 might be a bit trickier, and I'm wondering about making the two of them as a finer pitch combination just for imperial screw cutting, so they're a bit smaller, but that's just something we're thinking about. I'll probably make them, and I'll probably make them out of, at this point I'm looking to aluminium or phenolic, I think. So hey Robert. Phenolic's nice because it's quiet and it's strong and it looks vintage, and it's probably the answer. I'll find some 8mm in phenolic sheet and cut some blanks out with a hole saw and probably see how we go with it. But I don't like phenolic much either. It's awful stuff. But what have we got? 6 or 7 gears to make really in the whole set. At the moment they're 3D printed, but I'm suspicious they're not going to last. The 25 tooth one's already met a fairly sticky end because there's not enough support in it really. So it's sort of something that's going to happen sooner rather than later. Would really like to put a new quill in this tailstock at some time. Other projects that we could do on this lathe. This could do with a pull, scrape down and a clean and a new coat of paint. I've got a tin of paint to do it. However, if I did that, I'd like to get this ground, and it's quite long. It's about 900, something like that. 850, 900 long, this bed. And finding someone with a surface grinder to do it is probably not all that easy. So that's what I'd like to do, and I'd like to put a new quill in here because it's not shabby, but it's got a bit of wear in it. and it's a bit old-fashioned compared to the rest of the lathe, because this is original equipment, this tailstock, so it's 1920s. That key's got a bit of rock in it. And also it's proprietary launch, the taper, which is 1.2mm taper as opposed to Morse taper, and I really don't want to put Morse taper in this particular spindle. Might find a new tailstock at some point, but I've been looking for a long time, and it's probably got to come from Germany, and we've got no post. So I've made all my accessories with the right taper on it at the moment, and that's good enough, but at some point I'd like to put a new quill in this tailstock too, when we've got nothing else to do. Malcolm, that's a good idea. A brass fork sounds great. Hey Tom, good to see you. Just a note for Tom, this is the big brother of that tailstock. Exactly the same thing, but next size up. So this is a 100mm center height one. I believe that yours is probably 65 or 70 or something. I have one here, but it's the older model than the one you've got. It's the same as this one. Anyway, year of manufacture on this lathe is somewhere between 1920 and 1970, depending on the parts. If you have a look, the bed is after First World War, but before Second World War. Serial number doesn't tell us much because there's no records, but the beds and the tailstock on the head is all matched parts. They've all got the same serial number on them, so they're all the same bits. This, take care, Stefan. Good to see you. G'day, Max. This compound here is a very late one. This one here is the very last of them. This is late 60s, mid to late 60s. And the saddle. It's got the German plates on it, and it's got the latest model. This bed I don't believe is hard because nothing moves along it, Kevin. Hey Richard. Nothing moves along this bed except the tailstock, and that locks anyway. So as such, I think it's just soft bed. I don't think it'd take a lot of grinding. I'm not interested in scraping it even a little bit. I've done enough scraping in my life to know that that's the hard way to do it. So at this point, that's not going to happen. Let's see if we can get you a bit more clearance here. Don't know if that helps. So this is late. The spindle bearings and bits are last 10 years. The tool posters last 3 years. Some of the accessories are a bit later. The thread cutting attachments last 12 months. The screws in here are the last 12 months. It's had a fair bit of work on it to get it right. But this 1960s launch stuff's worth having. This particular shaped tailstock is 1920s or 30s. So yes, this is my baby. It's been 10 years getting to this stage. I have this theory about buying a lathe. You can spend whatever money to start with, but what you're going to do is spend $5,000 to $6,000 by the time you're finished. And whether you spend $4,000 on a decent lathe to start with and $2,000 on getting it right where you want it, or whether you spend $200 on a lathe like I did and spend $5,000 or $6,000 getting it where you want it. So this cost me $200 out of the back of a garage in Toowoomba, which is the German district in Queensland. Went and got it with a friend, and it sat here for about 4 years before I did anything with it after I did the spindle up. I found some nice cast iron bench leads. I don't know if you can actually, we might even go handheld here. So you can see no one really looks under here. It's a bit dusty at the moment. But we found some nice cast iron bench legs and put some spaces between them and a nice wooden bench on it. And then set up the new motor, which one day is probably going to get a cover on it. It hasn't happened yet. And it's got a flat belt there, which is what the fast and loose pulleys run on up to the top. And then I picked up this overhead shaft out of off a dealer in Melbourne, and reconditioned that as well and made a frame for it and splash padded and everything else. There's still things it needs. Is some sort of a guard around here, which I'm going to make a nice cast from with Lorch in the front. At some point I'll make a pattern and get that done. It's not going to happen this break. So yeah, just, hey Maddie, good to see you. Just the tailstock runs on this. If we have a look here, this is a plain lathe, so there's no actual saddle that moves backwards and forwards. So if we undo this nut here, we can move this and do it up again, and then we've got a slide here and a slide here. So all the work's done on this slide, which still has scrape marks in here if you have a look, and that's why this threading attachment works on the compound there, because there's no actual propulsion or method of moving the saddle along. That might clear things up. Most Lorch plane turning lathes are like that. A lot of German and Swiss lathes like that. So that's how that works. And then this goes on the end too. So this clamps on the end and this comes off easy. This clamps on with a bolt underneath. That comes off and slides along if you need to. This just has a bolt and a nut that, if we loosen that wing nut off, this moves along too. And the tailstock has a lever at the back, and if we loosen that off there, we can slide that along too. So that's how that works. So yeah, it still slides on the ways when you slide it, but it's never, look, rarely moves up and down. There's no wear in this bed at all, and that's the good thing I think about a plain turning lathe, is that there's never ever really any wear between here and the headstock, because we're not using the bed at all to do any work. So that's how that works. But yeah, this lathe was $200. When you look at it, this saddle come from Germany. About 5 years later, the one that was on it was crap, like real crap. I'm suspicious that this lathe probably never even came with a saddle, like a genuine one. It would have, it may have, but more likely it just come with a part-off slide or a post-production slide for second operation work, because this would have been a factory machine, I imagine. So I bought this out of Germany and it cost me best part of $1,000. But this is beautiful. It is now done the top up because it had been messed around with in the past and it had been sort of modified in a couple of spots that I wasn't aware of when I bought it. But I've spent a bit of time on that. Also spent a bit of time on the bearings. This one's a steel on iron or steel on steel bearing here in the front, tapered bearing. This one here has a new bronze bearing in here. When I get thread cutting done, I would like to make 2 new nuts for the back here because these are a bit ugly. Take care, Tommy. Joseph, if the way's off, will it cut straight? Can you explain that a little bit better? It depends how tram the compound is. This is a fairly easy thing to tram in. I guess I get good at it, but this, at the moment where it's set, will repeat to within 0.1 over the 100mm stroke or whatever. So it's pretty accurate. As far as I just did this job, which there's no wobble in this, and there's a bronze bush that I bored, and then a bronze bush that I bored from that end, and a shaft that I machined from this end. So they go in there and there's no taper in them, so I'm pretty pleased about that. But yeah, that's right. If the carriage is off, the cut's off. It's as simple as that. It's a very easy thing to indicate. Just put a magnetic thing on, a magnetic stand on here and an indicator on the bed here, and just get it right. It's pretty straightforward. The Chauvelin one, and one of the slides which I have, which is an American Ames, which fits this machine, it's got a plate under here that's adjustable, so you can actually head this off as well as this one. So you can put this on a bit of an angle. If you're cutting threads, you can move this around to whatever angle and set this one straight, and then you're just feeding in on an angle. There are reasons for that, but not all Chauvelin slides are like that, but some of them are. And not all American slides are like that, but some of them are. The Lorch one, this particular Lorch one, is solid here. So there's an introduction into plane turning lathes. It's kind of one of those mystical things that we see and don't know very much about, I guess, and I've learned about them over the years. Tony's site's okay, Craig. Because all the Lorch lathes look exactly the same, case in point, someone sent me some pictures this week of Lorch lathe parts that look exactly like this. They're only this high. If you've got a Lorch watchmaker's lathe, it's the same, only it's half size. So because you can't tell one model to another what size it is without some sort of knowledge, the Lorch page on lathes.co.uk is kind of all over the place. First threads have been cut. Tom? First threads have been cut, so I'm pretty excited about that. This line shaft, I would say, is English. I bought the bearings and the shaft and the pulley and the reversing mechanism. I don't know if the reversing mechanism is actually original, but it probably is. It all seems to work. I don't think it's Lorch. It's not to the same level, and I've never seen one in the Lorch catalogue. I would say that this could be off a finishing machine, or even a sewing machine, or some sort of a light industrial machine of some sort. I'm not necessarily a lathe, but it fits nicely on here. It's got an overhead drive pulley that I left on here, and maybe one day we'll make a cutting head or a grinding spindle or something and use this just for fun. I have drawings if we're looking for another project. I have drawings of a epicyclic back gear attachment to go inside this pulley from Model Engineer in the early years of the century. I would like to build that. Things like this thread cutting attachment and dividing head on the mill, etc., are sort of coming towards eventually being able to make this particular accessory, but that's a little way down the track too, and that's just got a pin that you pull out for a 3-speed gear inside here, which might be really, really fun. That's a project. So I don't know. What's the distance between centers between here and here with the tailstock back out is about 400 millimeters from this end to the next end. With the collet, that's from the spindle to the end of the tailstock there. Travel is really only about 100 millimeters here, so that limits us on our work a bit, but we can move this down, and especially with this adjustable shaft, we should be able to move this down here, and we should still be able to cut threads on the end here if we needed to. So bit of a job. Take care, Max. Chaubelin's the same. His Chaubelin's probably even older than this one, Craig. It's a nice machine, and this is too. This was considered the German equivalent, I guess, of the Lorch. Was the German equivalent of the Chaubelin, which was Swiss. I'm not sure they're entirely in the same league, but the other thing is we can't really judge because there's a lot of really nice condition 70s and 80s Chaubelin parts sitting around, whereas they stopped making these in the mid-60s. So distance swings 8 inches quite comfortably. So it's quite a big lathe. It's bigger than a Myford. So there we go. I have another Lorch here, which is over there on the bench in bits. So we're sort of looking at it and working on it. That's only half the size of this, which is an L model. It's quite a pretty little engine, but I'm not going over there because the place is a mess and I'm going to bump something off the bench. But that's only a 10mm collet lathe. This is a 12.5. And probably when I've done this and finished this, I might... This is an A. An A1 is the... This is an A1, the A series. The B series was a bit bigger. It was a 10-inch lathe. And I believe there was a C series. I've never ever actually seen one. There was an L series, which is half the size, and then the WW, or the watchmaker's lathe, was half that size again. So one was 50mm high, one was 60 65, 70 mil high, and one was 100 mil high, which is this one. So this is a nice machine, and it's really, every time you look at it, there will be something a little bit different or a little bit better on it, I think, over the last 10 years or so, but we're getting there. And there was going to be a nice 3-dog faceplate to go on here as well from Germany, but it's been sent back. It has a suitably vintage Bakelite work lamp, which doesn't actually work. I converted this to 12 volt, and then I made a stupid mistake and put an AC transformer on it when I did it, rather than a DC transformer. So it doesn't only work some of the time. One of the projects for this holiday, or whatever it is to get under there and fix this, because we really need this light and some other lights as well. But we'll see how we go with that. The LEDs are sort of an interesting experiment. Yeah, big thanks, Maddie, for sorting me out with the other launch lathe. We'll do a video about that at some point. The wood turning and the pattern making accessories were all available for that, Joseph. I've got some of them. Like, I've made some of them and I've got some of the accessories, but it doesn't do a lot of woodwork, to be honest. The good thing about it is that it is easy to clean, so you can just take it apart and clean it and put it back together. So yeah, Mike, we're only using half the sine wave, which is a bit of a problem, but we're going to fix that. I'm going to have a gripe. There we go. This week, my world has changed, and not for the better. This is up there with 5G and the birds being robots and the smart dust and cashless society and first world problems such as this. Someone's changed the Tap Magic bottle. It's getting close to that bad. This is the old Tap Magic tin. We've all seen this. It's awesome. It's new and improved. It's been new and improved like this for like 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years or something. It's an ozone-friendly formula, etc. It doesn't contain trichloroethane. It probably causes cancer in California. You should call a physician immediately and keep out of reach of children. And it contains EP Extra, which is a proprietary compound that is unsurpassed for performance, etc., etc. So probably I've never actually read the tin, but there you go. It's good stuff. However, they've changed to this stupid plastic bottle, right? And this stupid plastic bottle sweats or leaks, or capillary action empties itself. If you tip this over and use it and then sit it back down, in half hour you've got an oil slick on the ground again, no matter how. There's one over here where it was. No matter how well you wipe it or how clean the bottle is, this bottle seems to leak. And that's a problem. I don't know whether it's capillary action coming up and down the outside, or whether you actually, it dribbles down there and then it just seeps out. I'm not sure what it is. But please, can we write to Tap Magic and campaign about this stupid new bottle, because it isn't half as good as this. And I think I'm going to tip this back in this bottle in this tin when I've given it a clean up, because the tin's the answer. But I guess it siphons or something. But this bottle, maybe it leaks around there. But you see, that's wet again, and I already wiped that. So very unhappy with it. And so you got to buy more. I'm probably going to fill up the whole tin. I had an idea for this tin. I really had a project for this tin, to be honest. I was going to use it to make a drip oiler for the mill, but I'm not sure that's going to happen yet. And apart from that, does it work? This stuff, value for money, in small quantities, I think is the best, right? It doesn't stink up, which is important in here. If I use Rocol, which is really good, but it's also crazy, crazy, crazy expensive. Rocol would be really nice, and I'd love 10 litres of Rocol. See, I'm all sticky again there off that, and I wiped it. I'd love 10 litres of Rocol under the bench, but I can't afford it. It's crazy expensive. This stuff doesn't stink like that. It doesn't smoke, and it seems to work really well. I really like it, and it's available locally, except it's in this stupid new tin, and I might put that back in that one. Because the cutting oil smells not better. Yeah, that's about it. Anyway, so that's where we are. That might work too, Paddy. For the little bit of cutting oil I use, this will last me about 12 months. To be honest, it lasts, or this one will last me 12 months. I don't know if this one will, because it leaks. But there we go. Maddie, everyone seems to be making funny noises in the background there. Anyone? Troy, a breather hole. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe I could put a hole in here. I might try that before I empty it out. So maybe it needs a gasket. It's got a thread on here. I hate anything that leaves. There's no gasket or anything on it. This is pretty much sticky again all over, which is really strange. I only bought this last week before the lockdown because I thought, well, I need that. But I'm not all that impressed with it. I have a custom-made oil pot. I don't put this on it. I keep the smelly, smoky stuff in that, which is Rocol, the little bit that I've got. I think I'm just going to put this back in the tin, but I might give this a clean first, because that tin's a couple of years old. Where do I buy this? Local nuts and bolts place, have it on the shelf. It's about, I think it's about $20 a bottle, but it lasts me forever. Like, I'm not using a whole lot of it. So people were making funny noises in the background. I'm not a big fan of new and improved, but anyway, I just don't like change, and I think that's where most of us are. An adjustable reamer that we had out the other day. Oh, thanks for that, Craig. We might try that too. But anyway, I like Tap Magic, but I just don't like the new bottle. What else is happening this week? Oh, there's been a little bit of work on this sticky paint still, but there's a bit of work on the coat hanger project. This got new improved years ago, and they put it on there, so they can't really put it on the new tin because they've already new and improved it once. What they did, I don't know. I'm not sure what was actually new and improved about it, but I haven't watched. Oh, did I watch his latest video? The last one I watched, Engineer Brun's video, is the April the 1st one about time travel. Change sucks. That's why they don't tell us. If they all told us that the birds were actual robots and security bots rather than actual birds now, we would have had things to say about that, but no one ever tells us. But yeah, probably that's what was improved on this was a plastic spout. This is another awesome idea that I've picked up and used for the last little while, talking about containers. This is a definite improvement. Um, how do you not sub to Engineer Bruns? He's as good as this old Tony nearly, but he's Russian. Craig, you got to go and check him out. This is an idea that I picked up. I picked up a heap of these bottles. This is a nail polish bottle. You can get them cheap and new. You can add a little brush in it. But for marking out blue, this is the answer. It doesn't leak. It doesn't crust up. It doesn't seem to evaporate. You can see how much is left in the bottle. It's got its own little brush. You can't knock it over. You don't put the brush down somewhere stupid and then sit on it or get it in your hair or your face or splat it on your glasses or any of that stuff that happens with marking out blue. But if you get a chance to find some of these nail polish bottles, I think they were like $1 each or something. Best thing for marking out blue. There's a hot tip. I think he's Ukraine. He's Croatian, I think. Richard, I think he may be in Croatia. He might be Ukraine. You might be right. Your friends will laugh at you. No, they won't, because it's heaps better than using this straight out of the bottle. Usually it comes in a litre bottle, my marking out blue, which lasts me forever, but it gets messy if you try and tip it out and stuff like that. This is the answer. Is it sacrilege? I've got 2 oil cans. Here's another question. I've got 2 oil cans. He does have English videos, but he does do white noise videos as well. He speaks fluent white noise. But Engineer Bruns is pretty cool. Where is a good place to buy layout die? Good question. I promised to send you some, but it'll never ever happen. So, I bought mine on eBay. It come in. It's Dymark, which is I think that's a brand that Bunnings sells. So maybe they can get it, but I don't know about that. I never had much luck with getting things through Bunnings. They sell Dymark paint, which is the same brand. And it's a litre bottle, which is about a lifetime supply for about five engineers. So there you can. Anyway, I have two vintage Eagle oil cans, right? 58s. They're a bit sweet. They're both a bit different. Guaranteed 5 years, about 50 years ago. One of them has hydraulic oil in it, whey oil. I want to put gear oil in the other one. Is it sacrilegious to mask this off and paint one red and one green on the bottom? Put a green ring on one and a red ring on the other. Would that be a problem? Yeah, it's cheap. Okay, so I might actually do that. I think I'll give these a clean up and I might paint a ring around each one. And then I can put gear oil in the other one because exposed gears need proper gear oil. And this oil on my thread change or thread cutting attachment just flies off and puts a cat ring around the room, which isn't good. Those oils are way overrated anyway. Yeah, of course they are. Understand. This is vintage Aussie ones. Yeah, I'm just going to put a ring around each one so I can tell which one's which. This one's empty at the moment, and I was going to get some gear oil and put in it so that I can oil those exposed gears and it's not going to fly off. I probably should give you a bit of a talk through this jolly coat hanger thing, because make a brass plaque. That's the other thing, and just rivet it in place. Put some pop rivets in it. That'd be good. And make it as good as an Australian oiler, then it'll leak everywhere. That might be a good idea, Paddy. So like a Teflon or something like that. I probably got some Teflon chain oil here somewhere. Never thought of that. Okay, peer pressure. All you guys that an hour and a half are still here following along deserve a bit of a treat, perhaps. I don't know why you are, but there we go. This is the start of my coat hanger build. There we go. There we are. We've done that. What's next? This is the start of my coat hanger build. I don't know what to say either. I really don't. It's a work in progress. I'm not going to show it in operation. The mechanics are sort of sketched out and they're achievable. Getting it cosmetically to where I would like it is a little bit more complicated. it's got a backboard up here that bolts on the wall, and the hook will be underneath. And I wanted to sort of make this like an old-timey air race joyride style automaton, I guess, is what I was at with that. I've been thinking about messing around with automaton for a little while. This has a mechanism in underneath here. Something's under there. What have we got? That actually works. Yeah, we probably all going to need some serious medical attention and probably psychiatric attention by the time it's finished. I did 3D print this tower and I got sick of it. It really isn't in keeping with what I want to do. And to be honest, I 3D printed an aeroplane. That's probably not really in keeping with what I want to do either. But the theory is that this aeroplane will fly when you hang the hook. Anyway, it's complicated, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We've got a cool automaton, and there's still a lot of finishing up to do, and I'll make a video about it, I promise. But there you go. No one who watches that video is very, very unlikely to watch this live stream. So there you go. This mechanism in here has a cam system to lift it up and down and spin it on a clockwork motor. So the therapist would probably have nightmares about this, but this still needs to be chopped off, and then we've got a wire or something to suspend. I'm actually trying to get away from the Zeppelin idea because I just don't think it's going to fit on here and be smart, and you tie the end up to a pylon. So I'm going to go with aeroplane. I'm not sure it's going to be this one. It might be something cooler than that. And it's probably going to have a fence or something. I would like a tin plate fence or something around the outside, and then a mural on the back, which I'm working on at the moment. And then there's a mechanism that actuates it. It's a bit complicated, but it might be fun. And it might work. But don't expect it much before the end of the month, because I'm really feeling my way as I go. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and hopefully it works. A Red Baron plane might be more fun, or a Snoopy plane, something like that. I'm not sure. This 3D print turned out pretty good, really. It's not too shabby, but I'm not sure whether it's the actual answer or not yet. But I wanted to give that 1920s joyride pioneer aviation sort of a feel to it, and something that's like a toy, I guess. So it's all bright color enamel and so forth and so on. And I really wanted to do something with vintage tin plate, but I'm not really set up enough to do that at the moment. So a biplane's a must. Blériot 11 monoplane or something might be cool too. We're still working on that. The prop needs to spin. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. But we will get it working, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get a bit more progress on this, and you'll get a video about it. But this is the first time I've had something that actually looks like something. Now, there was a coat hanger video by Cam at Battler this week. That's a fantastic video, like a really, really good coat hanger. I really liked that. I really enjoyed that. Enjoyed the build. You didn't know how it worked until the end, and it's pretty good fun. That so far is my pick. There's been some pretty cool stuff. Max had one. Anyone else has put up a coat hanger video, put your hand up, copy and paste a link, whatever, because we want to see. Now, yeah, it blows the coat off hook. That's pretty clever, I thought. That was Cam's video. I really enjoyed that. And thanks, Cam, if you watch this. Now, speaking of the end of the month, the end of this month marks the announcement date of the 2020 toolmaking competition. Now, this is definitely go ahead because I have emails from past competitors and past winners who've actually bought prizes for this. So we will have some pretty awesome prizes to announce. I think there might be a Noga Almond decent indicator, might be first prize, something like that. So if you're listening and you're interested in entering, watch out for that video, but I'm going to get this finished first. It looks like it's a go ahead, and it looks like we've got enough of amazing community to sponsor that and get it sorted. If anyone else is in a position to help out with that, drop me an email. I won't say no, so probably you're best not to, because you'll be in over your head there. Pretty tough competition. I don't know. You see, last year's winner, was it last year or the year before? I see Tommy's off his game anyway, so you're going to beat him. He's not publishing videos because things aren't as good as they should be. So, however, you've got to make something. You've got to do it. Rustnock's video last year was amazing. Everyone's video was good, but make it watchable. That's what it's all going to be about, rather than what you actually end up with. There is a charity auction happening in June in the UK. Now, anyone from the UK might want to catch up with this, and I'm going to make an effort because some of my friends sort of organise it. There's an auction for English nurses, and it's really very, very successful. It's a tool auction, a lot of vintage tools, woodworking tools, that sort of thing. I am probably going to make a tool to donate for that. So at some point that's going to happen too, but I need to get this finished first. I've got another tool build that I talked about before that Stefan knows about. It's actually one of his projects, so that's going to be something else I need to do. But there'll be more about that as well on the channel as time goes on. There's 1,000 projects here. Like, really, there's 1,000 projects, and it gets a bit out of hand. And I'm trying not to start too much more, but I want to get some things finished, and I want to get this finished first of all. Troy, if you wanted to organise something, maybe. But my friend Jim Hendricks, who organises it, said, well, he made the comment that the Macmillan nurses aren't doing their bake sales and charity fundraisers and things. They've got no income. All they're doing is hard work at the moment. And it's a pretty good cause, I think, cancer nurses in the UK. It would be nice to extend that to Australia, but I haven't got the time or effort or patience to organise like something like that here. It's a crazy big job he does, and there's hundreds of lots, and they're all pretty cool. And there's some bargains amongst them. It's not all high-end stuff. So the Unplugged Woodworking group is who runs that on Facebook. If you want to go across and have a bit of a look. So their tool making projects coming up. There's a crap load of stuff coming up. And on top of that, I've got projects I've started, and I'm actually reading a book and stuff. Anyway, TMC 2020. Make a video, don't release it. Spend some time editing it. You've got a month to edit it if you make a video today. Or you got 3 weeks anyway to edit it before you got to release it. But take some time to edit it and get in touch with your software a bit and some cool ideas and make something cool. Think about a storyline. Make a video that everyone wants to watch. If it goes viral, if we possibly will go viral, we're going to help with that, and you'll pick up a lot of subscribers for your channel out of it. Mike, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Troy, good on you. That's awesome. And it's a job, and we haven't all got one, so we're a little bit jealous too, but you're doing a good job. I'm working 2 days a week, something like that. Probably not sure how long that's going to last, or whether it's going to go back to 3, or whether things are going to pick up, or what's going to happen. The shopping centre today was fairly busy, to be honest. There were people out there everywhere. Didn't actually sell anything, but there were people in the centre just going about doing chores, stuff like that. People need to get out and do stuff. So you can't judge them really for that. Anyway, this has gone on longer than it's ever gone on before, so I'm going to call it a day. I've said more than I was going to say about this in particular, because you really don't want to. Thanks heaps for jumping along. All my new subscribers, and there's a few of you. We're up about, what are we up, 40 or something this week? I don't know who's keeping track of that, but I think we're up about 40. Whoever gave me a shout out, that's awesome. I really, really appreciate that. And I'm going to say goodbye because my phone's going flat. I've got a couple of videos that I still want to watch, and I've got work again tomorrow. So take care, everyone. Be kind to everyone and your animals, and more soon. And call the asylum. That's a really good option. Take care. I'm out.